that we are here just to hear His voice and to rejoice in His Shabbat. You know, we sang a song before that we say, Ze Hayom Asa Adonai Nagila V'Nisimachavo. Actually, that is part of the Hallel prayer.
Yeah.
And tonight we're going to have a Rosh Chodesh, the first of the month of Elul.
The new moon?
Yes, the new Rosh Chodesh means the new moon. And the moon, the renewal of the moon is called Molad. It means a rebirth. And it is a time when Israel actually, because the moon really, the concept of the moon coming to life is not coming again to be seen. It is not that the moon was not there. So when we talk about the new covenant or the New Testament, we are not saying that the New Testament is new. We call it in Hebrew, Brit HaChadashah. It is called the renewed covenant. So for most of the people that probably don't look at things from a Hebraic perspective, they are looking at the renewed covenant as something that is totally separate.
Yeah.
So the Torah is not part of that. That is very unfortunate. So I would like to open with a word of prayer so that we all tune into this environment, knowing that what we are going to speak will only glorify Him and give Him praise. So Avinu Shebeshamayim Elohi Israel. We thank you so much, Father, for your love and the love that you've given to us in Yeshua the Mashiach. We ask you that, Father, as we come today and rejoice on your Shabbat, that you give us the Ruach HaKodesh, that we continue, Father, to be the children of Abraham, to be the people that you have called out of the nations and in Israel, and to be your people, being grafted in the nation of Israel. We ask you that we ask for your blessing, that you guide us, Father, that what I will speak here will be according to your will. We thank you in your Son, in the name of your Son, Yeshua the Mashiach, and we give you honor and praise. And it is in Yeshua's name we do pray and believe. Amen? Amen. So, I will just go straight into the Torah portion. And we are going to have a look at the Torah portion in different ways. But time may not actually allow us to do that. But we will try to look at the Torah portion. So the Torah portion of today is called Re'eh. We have here Re'eh Anochi Noten Lifneichem Hayom Bracha Ukelala. See, I present you before you today a blessing and a curse. And it says the blessing that you hearken to the commandments of Adonai your Elohim that I command you today, and the curse if you do not hearken to the commandments of Adonai your Elohim, and you stray from the path that I command you today, to follow gods of others that you do not know. It shall be that when Adonai your Elohim brings you to the land to which you come, to possess it, then you shall deliver the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side of the Jordan, far in the direction of the sunset, in the land of the Canaanites that dwells in the plain, far from Gilgal, near the plains of Moreh? For you are crossing the Jordan to come and possess the land that Adonai your Elohim gives you. You shall possess it and you shall settle it in it. You shall be careful to perform all the decrees and the ordinances that I present before you today. So here the Torah gives us, it says here in the first verse, Re'eh Anochi Noten Lifneichem Hayom Bracha Ukelala. So I give you, it says, I behold, the Hebrew word Re'eh, as Brother Josh was actually sharing before, Re'eh is Resh, Aleph, Hey. 3 letters. Now, for us who are actually reviving the Hebrew language with our Jewish brothers who are grafted in, we know that Hebrew is not just a beautiful language, but it is also a language of, it's symbolic of something. So when you look at the 3 letters, Resh, Aleph, Hey, is also the word for Yirah. Yirat Hashamayim, the fear of heaven. But here it says look or see. But the word Re'eh, I just want to go a little bit deeper into the text. How do we see as a person that actually knows Hashem? Is it just a physical eyesight, or is there something more to see? You see, it's easy. When the human eye, as we know in biology or sciences, we know that when you see something, we are told that sometimes the image is upside down. But then the brain does correct it. Through the pinhole camera, we can see that. So, understanding the Torah does actually depend on the internal circumstances. If you have got so much noise inside you, you will not understand the Torah. What comes out, the pure message, like for example, you see a tree. It comes to you, you see a tree. But what you actually, the way you will really digest that depends on what is inside you. So a person that is mad will see a tree, but they actually think that it's a beast, it's an animal, or something else. I just let me open my notes here. I got a few notes that I actually jotted down yesterday. Let us have a look. I'll come back to that, but I'll go to Devarim chapter 30, verse 12. The last part of Devarim. Verse 15. See, again, see, Re'eh, Natati lefanecha hayom, et achayim ve'et hatov, ve'et hamavet, ve'et hara. See, I have placed before you today the life and the good and the death and the evil. That which I command you today, to love Adonai your Elohim, to walk in his ways, to observe his commandments, his decrees, and his ordinances. Then you will live and you will multiply, and Adonai your Elohim will bless you in the land to which you come to possess it. But if your heart will stray, and you will not listen, and you are led astray, and you prostrate yourself for the gods of others, and serve them, I tell you today that you will surely be lost, and you will not lengthen your days upon the land that you cross the Jordan to come there to possess it. I call heaven and earth today to bear witness against you. I have placed life and death before you, blessing and curse, and you shall choose life, so that you will live and you and your offspring. To love Adonai your Elohim, to listen to his voice, and to cleave to him. For he is your life and the length of your days, to dwell upon the land that Adonai swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give them. We come back to the parasha Re'eh. So we see that the freedom to choose. You can choose to become what you want to become. But how can we choose? If Adonai knows everything, if life is determined, and it's actually determined, and we are told that if you think that Hashem does not give us liberty to choose, what freedom have we got? We don't have the choice, have we? But that's not the way it is. The fear to choose life is to walk in his ways, and we can choose life, or we can choose good, or we can choose a curse or a blessing. Desires and choices of good path, righteousness, or you can choose evil path and wickedness. It's all in. If there was no choice in Hashem, for example, in the Garden of Eden when Adam was created, we see in Sefer Bereshit, in day 6, when man was created, it does says that, and Hashem saw that all that he had made, behold, it was good. I'll try to read in Hebrew. It says, they say, Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hineh tov me'od, v'yi erev v'yi boker yom hashishi. So in Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, it says that, and all that he had created was very good. Tov me'od in Hebrew. So we know that if you arrange the letters of the word me'od, you have got the mem, you got the aleph, and you have got the dalet. Adam. But the Torah is not telling you and I that Adam was good, because if it had done so, it would actually predetermine your destiny. So you can choose to be born into you can't choose to be born into a family. That is predetermined already. But you can choose to live the way of life that you want to live. You see? So here the Torah says that is a freedom to choose. There's a freedom to choose good. There's a freedom to choose the path of evil and wickedness. It's all for you. It's all for me to choose. I can choose to become what I want to become. I can choose. The reason why we choose is because Hashem has given us the freedom to choose. And He does not really try to force anybody to do things, because He is not a dictator. He is love. Because without freedom, you can't really say that you have got love. You have to have freedom, isn't it? You have to give people the choices to make. So the Torah today, and you know, when you look at Devarim chapter 30 verse 15 that we have just read, it is telling us that the bracha is really life, is chaim. And it's also the good things that are spoken in Romans chapter 7 by Shaul. And it's also the bracha, it's also the blessing. When you look at the Hebrew word bracha, it comes from the letters bet, resh, kaf. The root, the shoresh of the word is bet, resh, kaf. 3 letters in Hebrew. Those 3 letters are actually doubled. The bet is 2, the resh is 200, and the kaf is 20. So you're going to get a double blessing by listening and by doing the things that Adonai requests of us.
Now you have to explain to our community why are we so fixated on getting blessings, brother? Is it down here or is it up in Shemayim? Can you explain that to them?
Okay, I'll just give you my take on that. You know, I mean, people, the blessing, bracha, is not a tangible thing. You can't really grab hold of it and say, here it is. But the mechanism in which it functions is seen in the world. So someone can turn around and say, truly, this is a blessed family. This is a blessed person. How do they know? Because the Hebrew word re'eh also means to see. It also means to see. So the bracha was meant to be what? Literal as well. As well as also future. Because most of the time in the Torah doesn't really. You see people today, for example, they don't die on the street for breaking Shabbat. Yeah. And someone will say, so where is the punishment for breaking Shabbat? People will just really scoff and say that, the punishment has been done away with because no one is being put to death for breaking Shabbat or for doing whatever they like. So they can say there is no curse there. But we who believe know that there is a punishment that accompanies doing what you desire in the world. But Hashem has given us a freedom. So why are we who believe and being grafted into Israel, why are we adamant? Why do we want to have the bracha? You know, what was your question again, brother? I went off a bit.
Because we want to know why we are so fixated on getting the blessing. But that's the whole idea of why we're here. Okay. We're not here to get curses. We're here to get blessings.
So the short answer is, the bracha here, you notice that in this Torah portion, the if is attached to the curse, not to the blessing. So the blessing, once you do, once you love Hashem and you do the things that He wants you to do, then you get the blessing. And it's actually not conditional. It's actually a must that you get blessed for that. There is no if there. But in the second part, you realize that in the word kelalah, which means blessing, which means a curse, you have got the word im, aleph mem, attached to it, which is it says that there is a possibility of being cursed if you don't do the things that Adonai wants you to do. So there is that kind of condition there. Is there anything else that we would like to address?
No, you continue.
Okay, I'll continue. So there is the blessing. And without really paying attention, what the Torah is saying, there is a possibility of really going off into the wrong direction. So the Torah starts off with blessings and a curse. And we saw in Parashat Ekev last time when we read it, we saw about the things that Hashem, that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to tell Israel. So here we actually talk about the same thing again. He's advising us again to be very tuned into the bracha. Now in verse 3 it says here, verse 30, chapter 11 verse 30. Are they not on the other side of the Jordan, far in the direction of the sunset, in the land of the Canaanites that was in the plain far from Gilgal, near the plains of Moriah? For you are crossing the Jordan to come and possess the land that Adonai your Elohim gives you. You shall possess it and you shall settle it in it. So the question here is, I actually look at it in the Hebrew and it's very fascinating because the way it says in Lamed, Halo hema be'ever Yarden, achrei derech mevo hashemesh be'eret hakanaani ayoshev ba'arva mul hagilgal etzel elone more. Are they, these places, these two places, Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal, are they, the Torah is asking the question, are they not on the other side where the sun sets? So what is this sun setting? Mevo Hashemesh. What is the sun doing here? What is the sun doing in the text? This is my question to you. So we're dealing here with the divine text, right? So what is the sun doing here?
It's not just saying it's in the way.
Well, you realize that, when Yaakov Avinu was actually wrestling with the mother, it says something when he saw the ladder. It says that the sun, you can go back and you realize that every time you see the sun there, it's talking about something. The sun is a sign, it's actually a prophetic picture of, we read in the book of Revelation that his face shone like the sun. Whose face? The face of Adonai, which is Mashiach. So this blessing and curses are not just only things that are actually today, but they are also future in the Acharit Yamim. In the end of days, they will actually come to be fulfilled. As we can see today in the world today, where everybody has fallen away from the Torah, no one wants to there are very few people today that really want to investigate things. But that's a choice that people make. There's freedom also, which is good. We have to accept that. So I'll just read something from the Siddur. As a sharing, there's a prayer here. It uses the word hello. That is actually used also in the Torah portion. It's a prayer here in the Siddur. I'll read it. Please bear with me. We just want to find the place. It is in the Shacharit part of the prayer.
Before you find it, yep,
I found it. So
Good.
this is basically a part of the blessing morning, the Shacharit prayer. We say, usually it says, always let a person be Hashem fearing. So privately and publicly. So when we are alone by ourselves, no one is seeing us, but Hashem can see us. And when we are in public like the way we are now, we are all looking at one another. So therefore, there is a possibility of someone being afraid. But when we are alone, we might do something that's totally different. So this is a prayer which says, always let a person be Elohim fearing privately and publicly. Why am I reading this? Because the Bible is talking about the word which is the same as the word Yirah, to fear. So it says, Acknowledge the truth, speak the truth within his heart, and arise early and proclaim, Master of all worlds and Lord of lords, or Adonai Adonim. Not in the merit of our righteousness do we cast our supplications before you, but in the merit of your abundant mercy. What are we? What is our life? What is our kindness? What is our righteousness? What is our salvation? So if you here lay your life, you can't die for another person, can you? You can't die for yourself. You can't do anything for yourself. That has been done by Yeshua. Adonai has actually done that for you. You can't do anything. What is our strength? What is our might? What can we say before you, Adonai or Elohim? And the Elohim of our forefathers are not all. That's the word hello. Is used in the Torah portion here. Hello. Are not all the heroes like nothing before you? The famous as if they had never existed? The wise as if devoid of wisdom, and perceptive as devoid of intelligence? For most of their deeds are desolate, and the days of their lives are empty before you. The preeminence of man over beast is non-existent, for all is in vain. So, in other words, Adam and Behemah, without knowing Hashem and fearing Him, man and animals are at the same level. Wonder why they teach evolution today. That's the fulfillment exactly. That's what it is today. Because it has just so reached so low that really...
Well, wait, can you say that again? Why is man and animal the same? Brother, can you read it back? That's very curious.
The preeminence of man over beast is non-existent, for all is in vain, except for the pure soul that is destined to give justification and reckoning before the throne of your glory.
Okay.
That answers your question.
That answers my question that I've been thinking about, how animals and man, the soul. And the Siddur is saying that a pure soul compared to a soul that's not righteous, or a wicked soul. And I can see that the rabbi is mentioning an animal instinct in that unrighteous soul, whereas a pure soul. So it leads us back to the word Gilgal today, which is first mentioned in the book. Continue, brother.
So Ben is explaining something there. Remember, Yeshua says, who among you wants to build a house? You remember that Yeshua talking about count the cost before you follow me. Have you ever heard that? Where does he get that from the Torah? The rabbis have mentioned this one here. The word cheshbon. And Ben actually did a study on it. I remember very well what he said. The word cheshbon means to weigh out a matter and consider it. Consider it before you do it. Of course, we should not hesitate to follow Hashem. But if you want to follow Yeshua and you want to go where the Lamb goes, we must be prepared to be the people that He wants us to be. Let me finish the bracha. So, all the nations are as if none existed before you, as it is said. So Hashem does not care how many people are there in the world. And many times you hear about prosperity stuff going on. No. The multitude that you will see in the book of Revelation in the end of days is not talking about the Acharit Hayamim. It's talking about the people from the righteous level, Adam himself included, to the last man. It's talking about all those people that will come back to life. It's not talking about the multitudes that probably are going to be redeemed. So we have to revisit again the way we have been taught probably. So it says here, behold, the nations are like a bitter drop from a bucket, and are reckoned like copper dust rubbing off a scale. Behold, He will cast away the islands like dust. So the islands of the world, usually islands refer to nations. Okay? They will cast them away like dust. So what is the most important thing in our lives is to fear Adonai and to do His will. So that is why I'm reading that. This question there is talking about chapter 30. Are they not on the other side of the Jordan, far in the direction of the sunset, in the land of the Canaanite that was in the plain far from Gilgal, near the plains of Moreh? The Hebrew word Gilgal means a circle. So it's a turning of the wheel.
Yes, But can also mean they've been walking around in circles.
But yes, correct. It also means, because Gilgal also is actually the place where they actually circumcised the Israelites for the first time.
Yes.
Before they enter the land.
Yes.
So here we have a message about the circumcision of the.
Yes. So why? Wow. Okay. That's very important to where we are today, because a lot of we live in the flesh, but the fight is spiritual. So how do we circumcise the spirit? Because they are at the point of Gilgal, the first mention of this word, brother. It's quite interesting.
It is very interesting.
Where they saw the sun.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So here you have got the word moreh. In Hebrew, moreh is a teacher. So there's a prophecy that we have to learn the lesson the hard way. If we haven't learned a lesson, we are just going to be spin and living in what we call randomness. Randomness. You know, everything is random. We don't really understand where we are going. We don't understand where we are coming from. Everything's random. But Moshe here, as the prophet, Moshe himself, the greatest prophet that ever lived, has told us already what is going to happen in the last days. In the Torah portion, we actually hear Moshe saying that you shall be careful to perform all the decrees and the ordinances that I present before you today. But it says that you shall not do as we do on this side. Now, remember, before he said in the Torah portion, did you read something like that? Where it says you shall not do as we do now, every man in their own eyes.
Yes.
Yes, we read that. Why? Because, for example, let's talk for example. If you look at many believers today, everybody has got, it's very sometimes hard to actually even agree on things. And that's fine, But the most important thing is we are in the wilderness already. So we need to learn our lessons the hard way. So there is a blessing there and a curse for not following what the Father tells us. But how can we follow the Torah in the flesh and blood? Can we say we are doing Torah? No, we don't do Torah. We actually, because of the salvation that's given to us in Yeshua, we leave Torah because it is a sign that we are being redeemed. Let us have a look at Yohanan that we have read before. Before I come back again, I think that's very important for us to read. Yohanan. So, do we agree that bracha is a Torah, the life of the Torah? And that Kelala is actually again anti-Torah? Okay, let us read. Let us read and see what Yohanan is telling us. We repeat that our sister Abigail has already read it, but I would like us to see it again. So Yohanan chapter 4.
First Yohanan.
Yeah. First Yohanan chapter 4, verses 1 to... I'll try to read as the Ruach permits. My beloved, do not believe all spirits, but discriminate among spirits whether they are of Elohim. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. But by this the spirit of Elohim is known. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua the Mashiach has come in the flesh is of Elohim. And every spirit which does not confess that Yeshua the Mashiach has come in the flesh is not of Elohim. But he is of the false Messiah, of whom you have heard that he comes and now is already in the world. Now let us stop there. Before I came to know Yeshua, I just give you a bit of my testimony. I never understood this verse. What does it mean that Mashiach has come in the flesh? Is it just a confession to say with your mouth that Mashiach Yeshua came in the flesh to show himself on the earth? Or is there something else beneath the text? How do I understand this text? Well, if you notice, there is something very interesting there in this text. By saying Yeshua has come in the flesh, it's a sign that when you look at a brother and a sister, they are truly living according to the way of the Mashiach. It's not a verbal confession that you say, he has come in the flesh, that's it. No. It's actually a way of life. It means that the direct of life, the way of life, being of the faith, has to be seen in your flesh, because it is in your flesh that the Mashiach writes the Torah. He writes the Torah in your heart. In the word Gilgal in the Torah portion that we have read here, is talking about getting rid of the skin, the flesh that's on the male part, that is always cut off, And there are so many reasons why Hashem pointed to that part to be cut off. So, we see here, but a lot of people will look at this text and say, well, it means that, I just have to believe that Yeshua has come in the flesh, and therefore, that's it. But no, there is much more to the text. The text is saying that you and I have to live our life with fear and trembling. We have to live a life that is consecrated to the Creator, to the Elohim of Israel. The one that connects your mind. We say that He is the possessor of heaven, and earth. He is the possessor of heaven and earth. We have to really understand that. So we continue here. So that it doesn't mean just saying that He is actually come in the flesh.
Well,
no.
we got an issue here, brother. The issue here is, Brother Judah, if you come and proclaim JC as in the flesh, you're recognized as a false prophet. But here it's saying that if you don't recognize JC, you're a false prophet. Now you've got an issue here, brother.
Okay. According to okay,
is it too heavy? Is that too heavy? Okay.
It's not too heavy.
Okay.
It's very
All
easy.
right. Okay.
This is very easy to understand. We say in the Shirat Hayam, the song at the sea, Exodus. Let us have a look at Exodus chapter 15. We go to Exodus 15.
Bamidbar?
Because if we don't understand this, how can we understand the Barim chapter 13, which is coming up very shortly? We are going to get into that. A false prophet. How do you know who is false and who is true?
Okay.
And how can you explain your faith to our Jewish brother that does not yet see Yeshua as the Mashiach of Israel, the glory of Israel? How can you say that? It must be a very big claim to proclaim that Yeshua is the Mashiach without actually understanding the Torah. What does the Torah say? So let us have a look at Exodus chapter 15.
Okay. Shemot 15.
Shemot 15, which is Parashat Beshalach.
Yes. The
When
song.
he sent forth, Pharaoh was tired, and he said, let the people go. So, here is a song. As Yeshir Moshe Ubnei Israel el Ashira Hazot la Adonai, chapter 15, verse Aleph. Vayomer lemor Ashira la Adonai ki gao ga'a. Suz berachvo Rama vayam. Ozi vezimrat yah. Vayili le Yeshua. Ze Eli v'adevehu Elohi avi v'armenehu. Adonai ish milchama. Adonai shimo. Markevot paro v'chilo yara vayam. So it goes on there and actually says, I'll read in English, a bit that I've read in Hebrew. Then Moshe and the children of Israel chose to sing this song to Adonai and say the following: I shall sing to Adonai, for he is exalted above the arrogant. Having hauled host with its rider into the sea, the might and vengeance of Adonai was salvation for me. Yeshuati. This is my Adonai, and I will build him a sanctuary. Where do you build a sanctuary? Is it just in Jerusalem? Of course, we know the place that he has chosen is Jerusalem. But when he's saying, when Adonai told the people that build the temple, he didn't say that he will dwell in the temple. He said, Vani, Adonai will actually live betocham. The word betoch is first occurred in the book of Bereshit. So, and Elohim of my father, and I will exalt him. Adonai is master of war. Ish milchama. So we see the word lechem there. His name is Hashem, Yod He Vav He, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Pharaoh's chariots and army he threw into the sea, and the peak of his officers were mired in the sea of reeds. Deep waters covered them. They descended into the depths like stone. Your right hand, Yeminecha Adonai. Yeminecha Adonai. Who is the right arm of Adonai? Yeshua. Yeshua is the right hand of Adonai. So Hashem has got a right hand?
Does he need a right hand?
Does he need a right hand?
No. But why did he give his right hand?
Why did he put in the Torah
Yes.
this concept that he has got a right hand?
He could just speak the words.
So for Brother Ben who was asking this question, for the Christian that says that, oh, you know what? We're going to follow JC and all this stuff. They probably don't understand what exactly the Torah is saying here. The Torah is saying, Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha. Now, you have seen something amazing in this portion. We are warned of idolatry. So is it possible
So
to
we're-
run around following JC?
So we're hated
and
by-
practicing idolatry? Yes. That is
Yes.
idolatry. Because to believe in something that conflicts with the Torah is in itself idolatry. Full stop. You cannot go around it. It doesn't matter how much you try to dress it up, it's idolatry. So the belief in JC is idolatry. It doesn't actually go with the Torah. And you wonder why our Jewish brothers reject this. Because what has been presented to them over the last 2,000 years is idolatry. So, for us as believers in Yeshua, we must understand this.
So what are you saying, brother? Are they
What I'm
seeing?
saying
Are they
is
seeing the word, or they're seeing a man?
They are seeing a man.
Okay.
They're not seeing the Torah.
Okay.
They're not seeing, they haven't actually understood what Yeshua was even saying. When
Okay.
Philip asked him and he said, show us the Father. And Philip asked Philip, we can read that, his conversation with Philip. And he said, Philip, I have been with you for so long and yet you don't still understand? He who has seen me has seen the Father.
Mm.
You see the word there, your right hand, Adonai, is glorified with strength. When you see, an arm sticking out from somewhere, you know that there is a human being or something behind that curtain or somewhere. You're not seeing, automatically as a human being, you know that. But we talk in human terms here. Because when we talk of Yamin, which is the right side, Binyamin, one of the sons of Yaakov, is called Binyamin. It means my right arm. But we are not understanding these things in the way it's a way of Hashem relating to us. So Ben was asking whether Hashem needs a right hand. Of course we understand from the Torah he needs a right hand. But that's not in human terms. So let us continue. Coming back to Yochanan. I hope we are getting somewhere. I'm just trying to go. Sometimes I tend to speak very fast, so I'm trying to slow down and hoping that English also being a second language for me. Sometimes I make mistakes, and that's okay. That's fine.
Ben actually said something when he said, does Elohim actually need a right hand? No, he doesn't. He could just speak it. Well, when he spoke it, that is Yeshua who
That's
is
right.
his right hand.
Absolutely. But you, in Yochanan Aleph, chapter 4, verse 4, but you children are of Elohim, and you have overcome them, because greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. And they are of the world. Therefore they speak from the world, and the world hears them. But we are of Elohim, and he that knows Elohim hears us, and he that is not of Elohim hears not us.
So why are so many left, brother? They read the same text as us, don't they? But are they looking at a different viewpoint?
Comes down to Re'eh Anochi. It comes down to perception.
Yeah.
Because the Hebrew word Re'eh means to perceive, to observe, to analyze in your inside. Our brother Josh shared something that was quite intimate. I listened to what he was sharing.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful message. Chokhmah, which is wisdom in English, and Binah are actually twins.
Amen.
But they are brought down through the verb.
Yes.
To know Yeshua, and internalized through the art. Through understanding. The art means the highest understanding. It means part of you. It no longer, the Torah doesn't become just something that arbitrary that you decide, whether, should I go for Shabbat? What kind of things should I eat? How do I live? No longer like that. You lived it and live it to the full. He said something amazing.
So can you say that you're driving a car and you see the red light coming and you're saying, should I go or should I stop? Because Shabbat is, you see red, Shabbat, but then when someone driving, they see a red light, I could go through that red light. Today's a different day. There's no cars around. I'll just go straight through. What's that? Is that the art? You know wisdom, you know knowledge, but I'm trying to get our community to understand the art. is you make up your mind now what red is. Red light is.
Yes, even if it's the middle of the night and there's no other cars around.
Yes.
If there's a red light,
You can sit there for 10 minutes.
you are unable to go through it.
Yes.
Because you are breaking the law.
Yes,
And
that's
it
it.
comes from in here.
In here to control that, right? Or else you see no one, you just drive.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I think one way to look at it is Chokmah and Binah is head knowledge.
Yes.
It's just data floating around your head.
Yep.
The art is actually application.
Okay.
So I know that red light means don't go. That's just knowledge. If I choose to go through it, that's not the art. The art is I can't go through it.
Unable.
Unable to go through it.
Even knowing you can, there's no one there.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. Continue, brother. Sorry.
Amen. No, this is very, very important. I know, guys, I'm listening to what you're saying, and this is so beautiful. I hope that we're getting the message. Because this is not about just knowledge. If our aim of following Yeshua was just to accumulate knowledge, we are hopeless. We are hopeless, you know. But that's not... so, let us continue with Yohanan chapter 4. But we are of Elohim. And he that knows Elohim hears us, and he that is not of Elohim hears us not. So here is the internal noise and internal circumstances that will produce what a man and a woman in the world will look like that want to follow Hashem. So why is it that many people will not respond to the Torah, and some will respond to the Torah? Is it because the truth was not presented to them, or is it because there's something inside them that blocks the divine light? I believe it depends on the way people perceive things. So a person may actually have the truth right in front of them, but will not perceive it as truth. Because there is something inside them that blocks the light. It's called Kalifot. It's actually a shell. So a human being has got layers and barriers that have to be broken through for prayer to take place. So if you see a person raising up their hands and praising Hashem in the middle of a place, and they are thanking Him, which is of course the traditional way of praying, with the lifting of the hands, because we are actually told to raise up our hands in prayer.
So why are we so timid these days? Whose fault is that?
I think it's the culture in which we live in, and there's a war between the Greek mindset and the Torah mindset. Remember, Judaism has not really been so much, it has been pushed to the backyard. And the Greek mindset has controlled the world for so long that most of the Christianity has gone so far away from the original way, and probably that's the reason why. I can just basically, we know the reason why, because of the environment we live in.
I think possibly there's a fear in Judaism that if they raise their hands, they look like charismatic Christians. Because that charismatic Christianity has become the culture that does the hand raising. And so they don't want to perhaps be identified with that.
But people do. They do. People actually, yeah, they do. They do, yes. It's actually, that's the traditional way of praying. And our job here is just to share our faith, basically. So let us continue. Because Elohim is love, so Elohim is love. How can you love Elohim without loving the person that's next to you? Is it possible? No. But we live in a world that is so filled with selfishness and introverts. People are much more, I don't know how to say it. It's like you have this tension in the world today where you don't really know what you are going in next. It's like something's going to explode in your face. So everybody's afraid of the other person. What are they going to say if I say this or do that? Especially mature adults. You don't really know what they are going to do next. And the reason for the fear is because Yeshua, the prophet, has said, days will come when people will call what is bitter, sweet, and sweet. What is sweet, bitter, and bitter is sweet. Yeah. Good will be called evil, and evil will be called good. and vice versa. And we see in the faces of people today, even they don't want to look into your face. Why all the dodging? You know, because we realize there's something wrong. There's so much artificiality in life today. People are not real to themselves anymore. I think I said it last Shabbat. There is no reality in the way people are alive. So somehow there is something has gone wrong. And that is the reason why we are here to learn and actually come back to the faith. So the love of Hashem is also a sign for us to love our own brothers and sisters. Look, for example, Yeshua in Yohanan chapter 17, verse 3. He says something that I believe that if we apply today as follows Yeshua, the Mashiach, we are going to get very far. And we will be recognized. Even if we are not recognized, it will be a symbol and a sign of our life in Yeshua, and every single person will come to know that truly the one that we worship is true and is love. Without a hava, you can't have freedom. We said that before. So it says here, Yohanan chapter 17, verse 3, this is one of the prayers of Yeshua. I love this so much. It says, now this is life that is eternal. Chaye olam. That they might know you, that you are the Elohim of truth, Emet, which is Yesod, foundation, and He alone whom you have sent, the Mashiach Yeshua. Yeshua was praying for us that along the line in our normal communal lifestyle, our aim would be to cleave to one another. So, for example, if you go, for example, to France, or you go somewhere in England, and you know the scriptures tell us that you seek a house that is worthy. That's where you sleep. You don't go to your people because if they don't know Yeshua, how are you going even to pray? You can't, because, you know, some people will say, oh, you know, what is that, that person doing there? And you've got visitors coming, they are doing this and doing that, and there's no room really for any spiritual dialogue with the Father. Because the area in which you live also must be conducive for prayers as well. So Yeshua here says to us, the ultimate foundation of the faith, that is everlasting life. It says here that to know Him is actually, but he says there's a verse here after saying that, but there's a verse here that that they have to love one another. It is actually in Yohanan here. I know it is here.
So, back to the question.
I'm looking for the verse, yeah.
Back to this question of you reading 1 John chapter 2, verse 2 here. And this is where our brothers can get a bit misguided, because it's saying here, my dear children, I write to you so that you will not sin. But if anyone does sin, we have one who speaks to the Father in our defense. So is that saying that we don't pray to Yeshua, but we pray to the Father in the name of Yeshua? Because here we come back to being idolized that man again.
Okay. Now, this is the area I differ with a lot of people, and I've actually personally met believers that really, you know, the Torah, the Yeshua taught that he came to do the will of his Father. Full stop. And he said that you pray in my name to the Father. So where is the prayer going?
Father.
To the Father.
I mean, you would be really, it would actually be a problem if you actually, and Daniel, our brother Daniel Thompson, you know, Hashem bless him, he says, he explains it so beautifully, and he has blessed this congregation so much. I know all of you learn from his drasha. He puts it so beautifully like this. He says, if you see a person talking and you hear a voice, you don't run around trying to catch the sound waves. It doesn't make sense. Those words that you are hearing are from the mouth of that person. Hashem spoke. And what he spoke was the Devar, the Memra, Tarkiel, the Milta. However you want to delineate it, you want to say, that is what Yeshua taught. So Yeshua came to represent the Father. So Yeshua never taught.
So
he never taught that you have to pray to me.
Yes.
He didn't say that.
So
he said pray to the Father through me.
So can I say this? Praying to the Father is like writing a letter, right? To the Father. So we write a letter to the Father. Dear Father, I need your help today. And we put it in an envelope. Can we say that Yeshua is the stamp? Without the stamp, the letter won't get sent.
Yes. But when we understand the Torah,
yes.
we know that Yeshua is actually Adonai.
Amen. Correct.
Because Hashem wants us to understand His ways. So when we study the Torah, we have to understand it properly.
Yes.
That's the way I understand it. Now, I hope you all understand it also. This is actually, when I came to this critical point in my life, I actually understood it.
Even when the Talmudim asked Yeshua, teach us how to pray, he says, Avinu Shabbat
It's Kadesh Shemcha,
yes.
which is very important. Yes, Matthew chapter 6, verse 9 to 10. Teach us how to pray. And say, our Father who art in heaven, set apart be your name.
So he never said Messiah. He never said, he would have changed it to Messiah because all his disciples are longing for him, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So let us so here we have, so Yeshua, I'll read this Yohanan chapter 17 because I want you to see something about love. Loving your fellow. It comes out in the Torah portion also, especially when it's talking about when you see a poor person among you. I know today we are not so practical in the application of that mitzvah. When you see a poor person among you, it says that you are supposed to support that person. So let us read. This Yohanan, first Yohanan chapter 3 first, and then I'll go to Yohanan chapter 17. So verse 11. I jump to verse 11. Verse 10. Sorry. In this is love. It was not that we loved Elohim, but that Elohim loved us and sent His Son, a propitiation for our sins. Kapara in Hebrew, which means kippur, to cover, to atone for, atonement. As Abigail once told me about, how they came to form the word. Because they didn't have a word for it, so they say atonement, so atonement. And my beloved, if Elohim has so loved us, we also should love one another. No one has ever seen Elohim, but if we love one another, Elohim abides in us, and His love is perfected in us. And by this, we know that we abide in Him, and that He abides in us, because He has given of His Spirit to us. So the Ruach HaKodesh, remember before in the prayer, the Sage says, man and beast are the same if they don't understand Hashem. If they don't live upon the will of the Torah, man and beast are exactly the same. However, if Hashem has put His Spirit in us, we are now important. We are now better. The Hebrew word kelela means to be very unimportant, to be insignificant, to be so little, and it means to cut off. It means to tear away, something like that. And so, okay, let us continue. 14. And we have seen and do testify that the Father has sent His Son, a Redeemer for the world. Whoever confesses Yeshua to be the Son of Elohim, Elohim abides in him, and he abides in Elohim. And we have believed and known the love which Elohim has towards us. For Elohim is love, and whoever abides in love abides in Elohim. And hereby is His love perfected with us, that we may have open countenances in the day of judgment. Because as He was, so also are we in this world. In love, there is no fear. So, how come? We said before the word re'eh, anochi. It means to see, but it also means fear. So why? What is the conflict here when you say in love there is no fear? It means that you are not fearing the unknown because already you know that you are in the Father. So this fear is actually talking about a negative fear. But there's a positive fear. There's a fear you actually tremble. The people that are called the Haredim, Harad, the Hebrew word for Harad is to tremble. So if you have heard of the Haredim, are the people that actually tremble. It's actually a sect within Judaism. they tremble before the Father. And they are doing well because that's a positive fear. It's not a negative fear. Let us therefore love Elohim because he has first loved us. And if anyone will say, I love Elohim and yet hate his brother, he is a liar. And for he that loves not his brother who is visible, how can he love Elohim who is invisible? Wow. And this command we have received from Elohim, that whoever loves Elohim must love also his brother. So, why am I going that far? Because you realize that the Torah is a blessing. And let us come to, I'll go to chapter 2? Yohanan chapter 2. First Yohanan Aleph, or First Yohanan chapter 2, verses 16 to 18 to 25. It says something there. My children, it is the latter time. As you have heard that a false Messiah was to arise, so there are now many false messiahs, and from this we know that it is the latter time. Let me ask you a question. He said before that he who does not confess that Yeshua has come in the flesh is of the enemy. But he who confesses that Yeshua has come in the flesh is of the Father. So how do we know what a false Messiah is?
Someone who doesn't confess that Yeshua has come and changed their flesh.
Correct. So in fact, we're not looking here for a lot of eschatological events. We're here looking about how people live their lives also. It comes out, by their fruits you shall know them. So in verse 19, from us they went out, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out from us, so that so it might be known that they were not of us. But you have an anointing from the Ruach HaKodesh, from the set apart one, and you discriminate every person. So how do you discriminate the spirits? So if it says so many spirits are going to the world, so my brothers and sisters, you test the spirit. So someone will come and claim something, so don't just be angry. First of all, let them present their case. Listen to them. And then you ask them, why do you think that's right? And the proper way to test the spirit is using the word of Hashem. The sword. The sword is the word of Hashem, is by testing using the Torah. If anything does not fall in line with the Torah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that is liar, that's falsehood, that's a lie, and no one should follow that. If you follow that, you are like someone that's running the red. How much more running the red in Australia, for example, is actually attract a fine. You go to court, if you don't pay the fine, you actually get locked up because you are not obeying the laws of the country. How much more in the court of heaven? If you run the red in heaven, the red line in heaven, using a metaphor. So if we fear the laws of men, how much more shall we fear the word of Hashem, Elohim? Because it is easy to just compare this law and we say, oh, the law of the Torah must be the same as the law of the land. No, the law of Adonai is a universal law, and you can't go anywhere. It is the law that actually binds all of us. I think we have actually addressed that enough. So the Torah choosing life is actually by knowing what He wants us to do. Now, let us have a look at chapter 12. Just a bit here about the sanctity of the land of Israel. So it says, these are the decrees and the ordinances that you shall observe to perform in the land that Adonai, the Elohim of your forefathers, has given you to possess it, and all the days that you live on the land. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nation that you shall possess worship their idols. And on the high mountains, on the hills, and under every leafy tree, you shall break apart the altars, you shall smash their pillars, and their sacred trees shall you burn in the fire. Their carved images shall you cut down, and you shall obliterate their names from Tachat, from that place. Let me ask you a question. This idolatry stuff that you see, if you have been taken out of idolatry, you have to get rid of idolatry in every aspect of your life. This is not just talking about Eretz Israel alone. It's talking about whatever idols you have got in your life. It could be money. It could be for pursuing happiness as it is taught. For example, how many times do we hear of Australian Idol or American Idol? You see these big shots on television, Hollywood running around. You know?
But brother, this to the world is the fun stuff.
It is.
So you're putting us under a curse if we don't get the fun stuff. So you're making it.
No.
There's a problem here.
We are blessed because we can see these things. But why I'm saying this, look, my aim is not to despise anybody. I said before that choices are for everybody. You can do what you like. You just go there. You spend all the time you want to do to watch all these programs that you want to watch. But you just have to realize that.
No, wait. What is the benefit for us, brother, when we give up so much of the world?
Well, Yeshua tells us the benefits. He says that the Talmudim ask Yeshua, what are we going to gain? What are we going to benefit from? Now that we have left our wives, we have left our fathers, we have left our mothers, we have left all these things in the world. We are not toiling to build houses, mega mansions. We are storing things in the Shamayim. We are not investing so much in this World Bank and many other things. And Yeshua tells them, and he says, whoever has surrendered everything and follows me will have hundreds, will inherit hundredfold. So we read. I mean, I don't have to quote. I don't have to go to the text. You already know. Now, I'm not talking to people that don't really study. Otherwise, it doesn't. No point. Won't make sense. You know that, don't you? So I'm not. Our aim is to share our faith. So we know that there's a gift here of life already that has been given to us. So is that real or is it an illusion?
Well,
the treasures in heaven. That's what's real.
Well, have people seen it?
Well, it depends on
So, but
life, bracha u'kelela.
So the question is, what makes a person be able to see what is up there and what is down here?
The Ruach HaKodesh.
That's
If you have got
right.
the Ruach HaKodesh in you, there's nowhere the Ruach HaKodesh will tell you that you have to behave anti-Torah.
So
there's nowhere the Ruach HaKodesh tells you that you begin to invite people and then you sell DVDs on Shabbat. Nowhere. So if for example, many times you go to communities selling DVDs, all this stuff on Shabbat, and then they tell you, so-and-so is coming, how important they are, let them sing or let them do this, and then they sell DVDs and all this on Shabbat. That is not what Hashem is telling us in the Torah. He tells us actually to obey the Shabbat, to take the Shabbat as a time for repose, not time to sell stuff. And Yeshua actually beat people in the temple because they were doing something that was contrary to the law of the Torah. So if we are not going to tell our brothers and sisters these things, and actually, it depends on internal environments as well, because if you tell someone and they are not convicted that way, they come swinging, and they say, I've got the truth, and my truth is actually much more important than yours. Sorry. Yeah, my truth is much more important than yours, and then you don't want to do that because our aim is not to argue.
Yeah.
Our aim is really to follow Yeshua and to present our faith to others in such a way that they can be won over to life everlasting. We're not here to condemn people. We are showing the love of Hashem to others because we live in a world that is so wretched. The world is dead. How many times we see people today, many people have got mental issues. They're not sleeping at night. I see it every day. You see people that are so chaotic. There is an internal noise again. It comes down to the faculties that you have. Everything is destroyed these days. So to hear, you have to have an environment where you can actually spend time with the Father through prayer, spend time with your loved ones, because by the end of the day, these are the people that Hashem wants you to love. Your wife, your children, the people that Hashem has put in your place, we who are here must understand why we need to love one another.
So by presenting Yeshua in that case to a person who, say for example, is sick or something, are we presenting Yeshua in a quick fix manner? Or what is it about that person that needs to radically change in order for them to understand not the purpose of this life, but where they're going the next life?
Well, the aim of keeping the mitzvot, you realize that...
Is that for, when you keep the mitzvot, is this for this life or the next life?
There is no reward for a lot of mitzvot in this world. But the reward is in the world to come.
So, that's the message people have to understand.
I believe so.
Okay.
So, you can't really, for example, look at the life of Job, the man of the East. See how his life was?
Mm.
And he was so righteous. The man that was far much more righteous than anyone that's ever lived. So why is it that his whole family suffered affliction? How do we see the prophet like Yeshua being torn apart in two, from top to bottom? I mean, how do we reconcile the fact that all the Talmudim of Yeshua actually were put to the sword? How do we reconcile events that are so horrible that have become before the Jewish people throughout the entire history? How do you reconcile these things if it is just about, guess what? The aim is not to serve this flesh. This flesh can fall any time. But we have to live. Now we have to do the right things now, make choices, and live for also knowing that we are going to be raised with Mashiach in the world to come.
Mm.
Our goal is not even trying to save ourselves in this life. They're never taught in the Torah. So anybody, there are two levels of actually obeying Torah. There is a person that runs to Hashem because of fear, and there's a person that runs to Hashem because of love. The person that runs to Hashem because of fear does not last. They does not last. They love for Hashem will die out. Because their faith is not based on love. The person who loves Hashem, who wakes up in the morning with tears in their eyes and actually says, Kadosh Baruch Hu, I want, please listen to my prayers. I ask you today to give me, a strength to follow your mitzvot. They jump out of bed with excitement. They are actually happy. This person loves Hashem, and they say the Shema with the kavanah that Hashem is not a dictator. He's a lover of those who do good. That's what is taught in the Torah. When you hear these things, legalism and all this terminology that has been invented and all this stuff, sometimes you scratch your head and you say, what is going on here? Something wrong here. Something doesn't work. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not force us to follow. He does not force us to follow his Torah. He actually says, my children, this is life. Look at the Torah. He said, look, I just placed before you. It's like calling your children, my children. I am now going, I'm passing on. I have left you this letter. If this letter has got treasures in it, you have to, you have to invest in this or you don't. And then the children have to choose their choices. He tells us clearly. So, so let us come to the next one. Sanctity of the land of Israel. So destroying or obliterating idolatry from our lives. If there is anything in your life that is much more important than actually serving Hashem, that is idolatry. That is idolatry. If there is anything that you actually take above loving Hashem, that's idolatry. It says in the Shema, we said before, V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha, v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha. Nefesh, me'od, and actually these three things that are mentioned here, they are very interesting. Because the reason why we put the tefillin on our forehead, we say this last Shabbat, is because all attention is focusing on the word of Hashem. And actually the Torah, we said last time that the mark of the beast, is all to do with the Torah. you can't look beyond that. You know, you have to come back to that. But anyway, so idolatry has to be destroyed. You shall not do this to Adonai your Elohim, rather only at the place that Adonai your Elohim will choose from among all your tribes to place his name there shall you seek out his presence and come there. And there shall you bring your elevations, offerings, and feast offerings, and your tithes, and what you raise up with your hand, and your vow offerings, and your free will offerings, and the firstborn of your cattle and your flock. You shall eat there before Adonai your Elohim, and you shall rejoice with your every undertaking, you and your household, as Adonai your Elohim has blessed you. Now, you realize that the place that Hashem has chosen, there is something so beautiful that I found here. I don't know whether you know about the place that Adonai has chosen. We know that that place is, where about is that? Yeah, in the verse that it says that the place that Adonai has chosen is the only place that you will go to give this amazing thing that Adonai has given you. What is
12:11?
Yeah, what is that place?
Jerusalem.
Correct.
And it's also in what we were just reading, 12 in sort of 13 and 14, because it says it'll be in one of your tribes.
Correct, which is Yehuda.
Yeah.
So the scripture here doesn't mention the name of the place. It just says that place is, it just says the place that is chosen. Okay? But it doesn't say the name of the place. Clever people will come along and say, guess what? That doesn't say, it doesn't do with Jerusalem. We know those of the, all those kind of arguments, but we know that. But here is Jerusalem. So I would like to say something about Jerusalem, which I found in the Mishnah Torah, Devarim chapter 12, verse 5. The only place that Adonai will choose is fit for doing zebachim, or sacrifices. So the word zebach is just to, it means to sacrifice, but it's actually also used in a spiritual connotation to mean that we are actually supposed to give up everything that we have for the sake of Hashem. So you're not only just talking about
all your resources.
Yeah, you're not just
in the
talking
Shema.
about bringing sheep and goats and lambs and things like that. You talk about Zabach in the aspect of actual us, really. Where we living for the sake of the Shem Shemaim, or the name or the honor of heaven. So this is what the Mishnah Torah on the Devarim 12 verse 5 says, I think. Yeah, this place, according to the Mishnah Torah, the laws of the Beit HaMikdash, chapter 2 verse 1 to 2, is the same place where Adam offered the korban. So Adam offered the korban. Where did he offer the first offering? Adam himself, Adam Arishon, the first Adam, he offered the korban. Where did he offer the korban? On Mount Moriah. Now there's something here that we would like to show, and it says Adam actually, according to tradition, Adam was created from the earth of Mount Moriah. This is very interesting. And it says that Cain and Abel brought their offering at Mount Moriah. It says Noah built the ark when he came out from, Noah built a teva, or the ark, the altar, when he came out, built the altar when he came down from the ark at Mount Moriah. So now, archaeologists today are running around, they go to Turkey, right? And they are doing these amazing things. They're trying to excavate and find out where the Ark of Noah, where exactly the dove, the Yonah came with the leaf, right? But actually there's a tradition here that the place that Hashem has chosen has been the place that has been hidden throughout the generations. It says that Abraham Avinu brought Yitzchak and bound him atop the altar at the place that Hashem has chosen. David HaMelech and Shlomo his son built the altar on the threshing floor of Arona. So that is where we are supposed.
So when Yeshua says to us, "I go away to prepare a place for you," what's he saying here? Because the Father doesn't mention the name of the place; he says the place. When Yeshua says, "I'll go to prepare a place,"
Yeah. I just thought that is something that we need to understand. So when we are looking to these verses, now we come to Devarim chapter 13.
But you know the place. Do you think the tribe would have known where the place is, brother?
They would have known through traditions that were passed down through Shem.
So isn't it easier to write the word Jerusalem than the word the place?
The Torah also is a very heavily quoted book, and so there are certain things that sometimes
we know that.
Yeah.
But there's a.
Had it been revealed to them at this point, or had it not been revealed to them?
I think they know where they were going.
I think it would have been known.
But it's like a present that you can't open, and you want to open it like the place.
It would have been known. Now let us go to chapter 13, which is very critical. So the entire word that I command you that shall you observe to do, you shall not add to it, and you shall not subtract from it. Many times, when believers actually accuse others, for example, of saying things that are from like what I've just read to you, that are damning, so did this and that and that. It's not specific from the Torah, but through a tradition that is taught. They would always say that that's adding. But let us look at what Yohanan, the gospel, the glad tidings. I don't like that word gospel actually. I prefer the Besorah. You know, I don't personally, some can use it, but okay, Yohanan, the last part of Yohanan. Let us look at this. Yohanan 21 verse 24. This is the Talmud who testified about all these things and wrote them, and we know that his testimony is true. And there are many other things that Yeshua did, which if those were written one by one, not even the world, as I suppose, would be sufficient for the books that would be written. So, now here is the problem now. So those people who say, any insight that comes as a result of maybe the wisdom that the Father gives you in nature, like King Solomon wrote so much, but maybe not everything is actually put in the book of Kohelet or Proverbs. There were thousands of prophets in Israel, but we know only 12 prophets and many major prophets were put there. But we know. Now, are we saying that whatever those prophets of truth and righteousness were saying is not true? This is unbelievable. This is the way you actually see a lot of people think. Now what are we going to do with this? It says that Yohanan is actually testifying to us that if everything that Yeshua did was put in a book, and every single one of those things was recorded, you would not have the room for us. We would be just overwhelmed by the volume of books. There would even be no place, there is no library that you could even keep these things. So why were the things written for us? Why were 4 books selected? There were 12 Talmudim, but we know that Yeshua also chose 72 and sent them out 2 by 2. We also know that he had 12 Talmudim, his inner circle. That among the 12, he also had people who were so close to him. But among them all, among the 12, only 4 of them were chosen to write the 4 books. Why? Have you ever asked yourself the question why? You can only get the answer in Jewish tradition. So the reason, because these 4 books are actually represent the 4 levels of understanding the Torah. So you realize that Matthew is very peshat, plain and simple. Doesn't go into details. But as you progress to Mark, and you go to the book of Luke, and you go to the book of Yohanan, which is the sweetest, and that's exactly the same as the words of Devarim. The book of Devarim and the book of Yohanan are exactly the same. So Yeshua is giving a narration of the Torah, doesn't tell you exactly where he's getting the verses from, but he is telling you the Torah. So when he's speaking, for example, at the Beatitudes, the beautiful place on, where he talks actually went on a mountain and he spoke to the people, Yeshua is actually teaching the 10 Commandments.
He went down the mountain, brother.
Huh?
He went down the mountain.
Okay, went down the mountain. Okay, that's fine. So he is teaching the 10 words, but it doesn't tell you that he's actually teaching that. Because he understands that the people that he was speaking to were Yehudim. He didn't have to go back to kindergarten to start, telling people, oh, keep Shabbat, you don't have to eat this, you don't have to do that. They didn't need to know those things. They already were brought up in them. So, that is the thing. So when it says, you shall not add to it and you shall not subtract from it, this is not, to understand the Torah, using the Midrash as we are doing here is not an addition, is not adding to the Torah. So you have got these people who say, oh, guess what? We can only read and that's it. What is here, we can read that, that's it. But then you actually see, because human beings don't function like that. You begin to see people actually bringing up their own ideas and agendas. And if you go to communities where people are actually living like that and they think like that, they form their own tradition actually.
So if people live by testament, or if people live by law, what is the difference between those who live by just testament? So they call this the New Testament. It's just a testament of a man. But they don't have to accept it as law because it's just called a New Testament. But if you go back to the Torah, which is the law of living, there's a difference.
There is.
So a testament, I can just read it as a testament. Well, that's very good. This man said, obey me. Not one word or jot has disappeared. Oh, that's a good testament. Now what?
Correct.
Is that?
So you realize.
I feel all words are divine. It's not, we should not say this is less than that, is my opinion. Because all words are God breathed. So
Yes.
whatever from Genesis to Revelation has the equal importance. But I feel we will be able to understand and appreciate the Brit Kadasha only through the lens of Torah.
Correct.
Because it is an extension. It is not a separate thing.
Correct.
But when we don't have a basic understanding of Torah, when we are going to rely our living, our attitude, and our life here and life after only through the Brit Kadasha, then we are in danger because we are living a distorted view of one view. But once when we have the Torah understanding, whatever we read in Brit Kadasha is already there in a different form, in a different way in a Torah, so that's not new. I feel both are same, equal importance, but both are not contradictory. It's not. If we understand really Torah well and really Brit Kadasha well, both are complementary. It's talking and again repeating in a different way through the different people, but it's the same. The language and the attitude is not a division or it's not different. To me, it's both the same.
Yes, amen, sister. That's
Amen.
right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it goes, so if there should stand up in your midst a prophet or a dreamer of a dream, and he will produce to you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes about of which he spoke to you, saying, let us follow gods of others that you did not know, and we shall worship them. Do not hearken to the words of that prophet, or to that dreamer of a dream. For Adonai your Elohim is testing you to know whether you love Adonai your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your soul. Adonai your Elohim shall you follow him, and shall you fear. His commandments shall you observe and do, unto his voice shall you hearken. Him shall you serve, and to him shall you cleave. And that prophet and that dreamer of a dream shall be put to death, for he has spoken perversion against Adonai your Elohim, who takes you out of the land of Mitzrayim, and who redeems you from the house of slavery, to make you stray from the path on which Adonai your Elohim has commanded you to go, and you shall destroy the evil from your midst. So here is the question. Did the people in the wilderness believe in Moshe because of the miracles that he did, like the crossing of the Yamsuf, that the sea was split and the water coming out of the rock? Or did they believe in him because they understood Hashem and his word? Were they looking for miracles to prove, to back up their faith?
I think some of them were.
Some of them were. So you realize that today, even today. Huh?
They all were.
Okay, so I ask you a question now. Supposing you don't see miracles happening in life today, does that actually negate the emunah of Hashem Eloheinu? Does that actually takes away the very fact that the faith was given once and for all? Does that make a little in your eyes?
No.
Well, I tell you the truth. This part of the text is really a big trap for many who are trying to look for miracles. So which is better? What is the most important thing in life? The miracle or Hashem himself?
But then why Yeshua said that my words will be confirmed with signs and wonders? Why did he say it?
This is the answer. This is the answer.
Yes.
You notice that signs and miracles niflaot nisim, it's not just through everybody. There is a function. So you realize that Rav Shaul, or Shaul himself, the apostle, even his handkerchiefs, as they say, but remember, it's not handkerchief. You have a problem there. So they're calling the talit a handkerchief. Really, there's something terrible wrong, tragic here in translation. Something is lost in translation.
We know that.
We know
If
that.
you sat down with me, you call chopstick a spoon.
So Shaul himself would travel, and he actually, even those who could touch his garment, would actually get healed. Even Yeshua walking and people touch him, they get healed. Now, what about the other tzaddikim, the righteous people that live in the land of Israel? They're actually praying in the synagogues every day, and people rubbing their shoulders, their talit, and they don't get healed. What would we say about them? Is that a sign that they are lacking something in their lives? So, what I'm saying is, according for the last 2,000 years, okay, I'll give you an example, a historical example.
But Yeshua said, I will not do anything here because you don't have the belief. What I have done, the miracles are signs and wonders. He said, because you don't believe, I will not do it. You will not see any miracle signs and wonders.
Yeah, but remember.
So it is also involving belief. If people don't believe, the signs and wonders will not happen, so shall it be.
Yeah, but even the word believe actually is a distorted form of the Hebrew word emunah. Because you don't believe in a creator that exists. You do what he wants. Does that make sense? You don't.
Okay, you have to take it down to earth.
Okay.
What you talking about is Shemayim.
Let me explain. The word emunah means
Faith.
faith, and it means that actually strength.
So in Hebrew, there's no word for belief.
I think the word emunah is not translated as
It's belief. So that's what I'm saying. Hebrew has no word for believe.
There's no word.
Believe in me.
No.
Okay.
It doesn't really come out like that. But what I'm saying, my dear brother, is Yeshua, the message, Hashem wants us to just trust in His Torah and in His voice. We should not go out looking for these signs. And I'm not saying they don't happen. They do. But that is not what actually proves our faith in Him. It's not. That's not that's not what we should be looking for. But doesn't mean that when we pray for things, it doesn't happen. It does happen. But
What I said is you should not ignore this and take this.
No.
Or you should not take this only and ignore this. No, I'm telling it is the combination of both. That's not my opinion.
No.
Yes, because the rabbis say that when you give $10 or $100 to a poor person, that $10 or $100 is a gift that the Father will give to you when you go back to heaven, right? Or He'll bless you next week with $1,000. But when you sit down and spend 10 minutes sharing your faith to that person and encouraging the poor person,
Yes.
that mitzvot that you spent 10 minutes is actually worth more than the money that you gave to the man. Now back to it. So we can say that the man was waiting for a miracle because he was hungry, the poor man, and you gave him a miracle. But the word itself that you gave him, you gave him life.
Yes.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It does. Yeah.
In Yochanan 14:12, Yeshua says, most assuredly I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he will also do. And greater works than these he will do, because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, I will do it.
Okay.
Absolutely, it's
So,
not-
so,
it's not
The
let-
Father may be
That's
glorified.
exact-
Just a
it's-
minute.
yeah.
The Father may be glorified.
Mm.
He says, my words will be confirmed with signs and wonders. He says here this, so we should not ignore this. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. There's no contradiction.
No, you should not go
Yeah.
behind signs and wonders. At the same time, you should not say that that is not there.
Yeah.
You understand? That's my opinion. Because I have seen in my life signs and wonders happening. I have prayed for people, people got healed.
Yeah.
It is His will. Whom He will heal, at what time He will. There are different theory on that. But I don't want to ignore that this is done away. That's what my opinion.
Okay. So anyway, it's true. All of them, Hashem is in control of everything. I'm not saying that they don't
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
That's not my point. I'm not saying they're not conflicting. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
what I'm saying is, don't go out and looking for signs to confirm your
Yes.
faith. That's never taught in the Torah.
Yes.
Because then it's not faith. Faith
Yes,
is
yes, correct.
believing,
Okay.
if we want to use
That's
that
what
word,
I was-
without the
yeah.
evidence.
If next week Shimon is able to heal people and crowds come and he heals people, will that be here for next week for Torah?
Some might turn up.
No,
If
those who you've healed
Yeah.
are healed now. They
Yeah.
have the strength of 10 men now.
Yeah,
Will
they
that be
might-
here next week for Shabbat?
They might actually turn up if I were a prophet, which I'm not.
Maybe 1 out of 10.
They
Okay,
might
okay.
turn up, but
They
if
might
they,
turn up.
if they didn't see another miracle, they would lose interest.
They would not come.
Okay.
You see, you
Ah,
understand that?
ah.
Yeah.
So there is
Remember
a
that
danger there.
when
Okay.
Yeshua had healed those 10 people, he said, "Where are the other 9?"
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what happened to the other 9? They didn't come back?
No.
Didn't they see the miracle?
Yeah, even Yeshua said this also in another place when
Yeah.
he multiplied the bread and 5,000 ate. The people were chasing him, and Yeshua said, "You are following me because of the bread you ate.
Ah.
You are
Yeah.
following me because it is easy. You don't need to work.
Yes.
Ready-made food.
Yes.
You just need to follow."
Yes.
Then that's why he says, I know what is in your heart. You are not following me for myself,
Yes.
but you are following me for what I give.
Yes.
Yes.
There we go.
That is the distinction.
So, what the rabbi said is, you give the man $10. Next week he expects $10. But you spend time with him in the Word. You teach him the proper ways to live and how to do the mitzvah. That's what the rabbi is saying. You teach the man to live. Next week, the father will change his life, and you give him $10. You say, no, you find someone else to give that $10 to.
No, okay.
Go, brother.
So, let us go.
We're nearly at 2 o'clock, or 1
Okay.
o'clock.
Huh? Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been nearly an hour 30 now.
It's not 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Yep.
So let us come back to the Torah portion. Okay, there is a lot that we can discuss on this, but there is a section here about permitted and forbidden food. So the Torah is teaching us what to eat and what not to eat. So in verse 5, chapter 14, verse 5, you are children to Adonai your Elohim, you shall not cut yourselves, and you shall not make a bold spot between your eyes for a dead person. So this is actually talking about not making tattoos. If some of us have already got it, what point have we got to condemn other people? There's no need to do that. But for our children, we can't do it to them because that's a sign that we are actually violating the Torah. So, and for you are a set apart people to Adonai your Elohim, and Adonai has chosen you for himself to be Am Segulah, to be a treasured people from among all the peoples on the face of the earth. You shall not eat any abomination. These are the animals that you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the hart, the deer, the yachmor, the akko, the dishon, the teo, and the zamer. And every animal that has a split hoof, which is completely separated, in two hooves that bring up its cut among animals, it may you eat. This English is very hard. It may you eat, but this shall you not eat from among those that bring up the cut or have a completely separated split hoof, the camel, the hare, the hyrax, for they bring up their cut, but their hoof is not split. They are unclean to you, and the pig, for it has a split hoof, but not the cut. It is unclean to you. But from their flesh you shall not eat, and you shall not touch their carcasses. Now, before I go on, let me stop. This law is talking telling us that if we like to eat the animal of the land, we have to eat an animal that choose the cut, and also has got a split hole. So it looks like something to do with food. But now let us turn to spiritual message now.
I hope you're going where I'm going. Go on.
Maybe.
Go on, right.
Okay, maybe. So the question is, what is the lesson that we are learning here?
What?
An animal
Yes.
that does not chew the cud. Remember, the animal, the cow has got, most ruminants have got 4 chambers. So they take in the grass and they bring it up when they are actually asleep or when they are actually lying, resting, and they chew it.
How old are you, Linus?
This is also the way it actually happens to be the way we actually live the Torah. So, when you hear the Torah, it goes into your inmost part, but it must also come out to be revisited and being chewed and feed on it. Just happened that Hashem is teaching us a lesson here. But the others, like the chazir, the pig, just swallows it. He can chew the cud, but the hooves are not divided. So
what's the spiritual?
Yeah,
What is spiritual? Okay, first question. First of all, why are the 4 unclean animals separated? A pig, a camel, a rabbit, a koi. They're very different. Right? The Zohar says these animals are the animals of the souls of the unrighteous that comes back after Gilgul. Gilgul is your life comes back around. This is the Zohar.
Gilgul, yeah.
Gilgul, the Gilgul, the Zohar says when an unrighteous soul, their second time coming back, first as a human being, you come back as a beautiful human being, and the way you live your life in this earth, if you've done good or bad, the second time if you're bad, you come back blind, maimed, deaf, whatever. And that's why Yeshua said, the poor, the blind, all these people you have forever. They will always be here for you to test you. If you come back as a blind man, or deaf man, after hearing gossip your whole life, and you come back deaf, and you're still unrighteous, you come back as a tree, a vegetation. This is the Zohar. And then, as a tree, if you don't produce fruit, that's why Yeshua said, curse that fig tree, because if you come back as a tree, this is very heavy, you come back as a rock. Now this is the Zohar. These are rabbis who will say this. So, you come back as a man, an animal, a tree, and the final destination is a rock. And we can see why when Jewish people, when someone passes away, they put rocks around that person's nefesh. So, the question comes back to is, why these 4 animals that were forbidden to eat? Because the nefesh of the unrighteous are actually in these animals. This is what the Zohar says. And if you're eating the life of a person, you're actually consuming their nefesh. So for me, when I look at a pig now, I'm actually not eating a pig. I might be eating someone who has lived a life, but they were unrighteous, and yet now their spirit goes into the swine, like when Yeshua met that guy with the demon, and the demon all fled into the swine. I actually see a spiritual connection where when the Father says, don't eat all these unclean things, maybe, just maybe, that their soul is actually coming back into these animals. And they have to live like these animals until a time where they come back in. So that's actually a different realm.
It's pretty heavy.
It's really heavy, but that's just the 4 animals. The question is, why these 4 animals?
And not necessarily right.
Yeah.
When we consume something that Hashem says it is unclean, and you ingest that thing, it becomes part of you, and it does contaminate you.
Yes. Now, the body or the soul? Does it contaminate the body or the soul?
Both.
Okay. Why?
Because I'll explain why.
Okay.
When it is written in the Torah that Hashem, let us go to Bereshit. We can confirm this.
Yes.
In the Torah.
Genesis.
Bereshit chapter 2.
I have a question to Brother Ben, sorry. Yeshua drove the evil spirits, right?
Out of the
drove
man.
The souls.
Yes, he drew the evil spirits out. Yes.
Evil spirits. Who are the
Yes.
evil spirits?
Who are the evil spirits? Well,
They are the fallen angels.
They're demons.
Oh,
They're not
okay.
the soul
All
of
the
a person.
fallen angels.
okay. So when someone is wicked, evil, and someone who can put people in gas chambers and all these things, what do we call those people?
No, what I'm saying is, it need not be the souls of some wicked person or who
Yes.
will come back again in life, because
Yes.
man shall live only once and then the judgment.
Yes, I understand. But we are told to uphold life. So when our Mashiach crosses a fig tree and curses a fig tree, and the fig tree dies, that's not a Mashiach that upholds life. That's a Mashiach that kills life. And Mashiach, when Mashiach says, if these people won't scream out, even the rocks itself will scream out, what's he talking about there? Right? And even in Proverbs says the rocks and the wood would scream out if my temple is not built. So what's he...
No, that he probably says because your heart is so hardened.
Yes. Yes.
You though you have a heart, your heart is so hardened that you don't listen to me, you don't know all this, you are not able to understand.
Yes.
Even the rock can do.
Yes.
Because he has the power for the rock to praise him. That's what he created everything. That's what he says.
That's
That
right.
doesn't mean I don't think it means soul.
You've got to be very careful about
we have to
reading.
Yeah, we have to
I
be
know.
careful.
I'm not saying that. But the word that we touch on today is the word Gilgal. Gilgal. And Gilgal is quite a higher level of thinking of why am I stuck here today on Shabbat in this body, in this walk, in this situation with broken lives or broken marriages or why am I here? What am I trying to look for so that when I pass away in 70 years' time or 80 years' time, where am I going? Do I want to come back? So if I'm unrighteous or a wicked person, where am I going? If I'm a righteous person who have tried to obey everything in the Father's ways, where am I going?
But
These questions have not been tackled.
that's right.
Yes.
But it's not. I don't think you're coming back to this earth. You either go, if you're a righteous soul, or if you're an evil soul. The scripture talks about where you go, but it's not. I don't think your soul comes back as something else.
Yeah, I agree
We
with
don't
that.
see any evidence for that. in
I agree with
Torah
that.
or in
I am going on what our sages and our fathers our forefathers who have looked at this text for over what? How many years? How many thousands of years? And this is the way they think. And so it and when we have a Mashiach that walked the earth and he curses a fig tree, he makes evil, wicked, demonic spirits run into pigs, and yet he told us the story of the prodigal son where he longed to eat the pods of the pigs. That to me is actually not us returning to the Father in terms of Torah. That is actually our state of our nefesh, our soul. We are actually living as swines. And within one day we have to realize, I don't want to eat these pods anymore. I want to actually go back to my Father's house. So going back to our Father's house is his ways. And then one day, once this human flesh goes away, we will enter into the Shemayim of rest. That's where the Zohar is getting this. So I'm not, everything you've said is correct. But what Yeshua, when he speaks these words, the rocks, the trees, the swines, I go, what's he doing here? What's he trying to let us know? Why is he always saying, look up to Shemayim. Don't worry about this earth. Don't worry about when you get your next feed. Right? He's always saying, look up there, look up there, look up there. That's where your reward is. So I'm always going, when I read and study now, I'm going, what is it that you want me to see up there and not here? Because here is just rubbish. I want to see what's up there. So when he speaks of rocks, of fig trees who are cursed, I mean, if I was a fig tree and the law of the land is you grow a fig tree, 3 years later the fruits come. But if you come back as a fig tree and you know Mashiach's coming and you don't push one fig for him, he will curse you. The axe is at the tree.
Yeah, you've got to be careful how you say that.
I know.
There's a
I know.
way-
But with detouring, with
there's a
detouring.
way- I personally have probably a very different way of approaching the message. But what I would like to say, we have to go back to the Torah and ask the question, what does the Torah say when man and
Yes,
Adam and
Genesis.
Hava were created?
Yes, Genesis chapter.
We need to be quite careful how we delineate this. Bereshit chapter 2.
Chapter 2, and you'll be from dusk to dusk.
It says in verse half Zion, which is 27.
Yep.
ויברא אלוהים את האדם בצלמו, בצלם אלוהים ברא אותו, זכר ונקבה ברא אותם. ויברך אותם אלוהים, ויאמר להם, אלוהים, תראו רבו ומלאו את הארץ, וכבשוה ורדו בגדר הים. Oh, no.
No.
I haven't got a verse 27.
Yeah, no, I'm going. Where's he read that from?
I don't have a verse 27.
1 verse 27, sorry, 1 verse 27. Sorry. Sorry.
Yes, that makes sense. male and female.
What are you trying to find, brother?
Is
It's where Hashem blew
his
his
breath.
spirit
Yes.
into the person.
That's before Adam.
Before that.
That's for Eve.
Yes, yes.
So you'll be looking at
I think it is.
It's after.
It should be.
Okay,
so
correct.
verse
7, 2, 7.
Correct, correct. 2 verse 7. Thank you so much, Todaraba. So in verse 2 verse 7, it says here that is Bet Zain. Vayetzer Adonai Elohim er ha'adam afar min ha'adama vayipach be'apav nishmat chaim vayi hadam lenefesh chaya. So here we see something that is a mystery. It says Vayetzer, the Hebrew word Vayetzer has got an unvocalized yod in itself.
Etzer is
That's actually a topic in itself. But what I would like to say, when Adam became Nishmat Chaim, so when Adam became a living soul,
yes.
he is just a soul. So you don't have the concept of dichotomizing the human being. We know inside the person is the breath of life. But at the same time, you are a soul. You are a soul.
Yes, correct.
Because, you are a soul. So, I mean, but...
okay, the question is when Hasatan told Yeshua to make these stones into bread, we know he's not actually asking Yeshua to make bread. He's actually asking Yeshua to make Adams. You going where I'm going?
Could be.
Well, that's... So are you saying physically bread, or I'm saying man? Because when Hasatan sees a person making bread, or when you see a person turning a stick into a snake, and Pharaoh's magicians turning their stick into snakes, anyone can make bread. But when you see a physical Mashiach turning rocks into man, Adam, what the spiritual essence is when Hasatan is saying, turn these rocks into lechem, we're thinking now spiritually is turn these rocks now into Adams. So what you're saying here in Genesis is, where is he getting this nefesh from? How is he going to call these souls down? Or is that too hard? Is that too much?
No.
Okay, all right, it's probably too much.
Too much.
Okay, it's too much for today. Let's move on. Let's move on.
You have this letter.
You want us
Yes.
to continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, the reason I said before animals come into the land animals, there are 3 types of animals that we are supposed to of course, to eat from. The animals in the sky, birds, of course, and then on the land and in the sea. The birds of the sky are very interesting. I've got a whole list here of 21 unkosher birds. They don't have an English meaning to them. Very difficult, So how do you know if a bird is actually kosher?
They have a type, though.
They do have a type. The birds here are very interesting. There is a bird called, the bird called Nesher, which is the eagle. And the eagle has got a habit. We go to the Torah. We come back to. I would like to conclude, but I would like to go through this bird just a bit.
It's basically any birds that scavenge dead bodies.
Yes. But there is also something about this. Apart from them scavenging, there's also a spiritual message also. Because as you look at them in Hebrew, you realize that the names of these birds actually, they also have got some sanctity.
Yes.
That's locked up.
Yes, we touched on that.
There's a sanctity that is a set apartment that's locked up in the birds and they are forbidden. One of the birds, the Hanesher, which is very interesting bird, but there is the bird called Perez. Have a look at verse Devarim 14, 12 to 19. That has 14 to 19. And every flying, swarming creature that's unclean to you shall not eat. 14 to 19. 12 to 19. Sorry about that.
The swarming, that's insect.
That's insect there. That's about something else. So verse
Chapter
Yeah.
14.
all Israel.
Yeah, 14, 12
Yeah, 14, 12.
is about the birds.
Okay, yes, thank you. So it says here, this is what you shall not eat from among among them. The Nashir, the Perez, the Ozniah, the Ra'ah, the Ayah, the Dayah, and according its kind. So we are given birds. Remember we talked about land animals before? The animals that actually live on the land. The animals have to have a divided hoof, and they have to chew the cud. And the fish have to have fins and scales. And now the birds of the air, they have to actually, we are not told so much about their characteristics, but the types are given. So let us have a look at some of the birds here. Some of the bird that is called Haperes is very interesting. It's really a play on the word, the divided hoof. Yeah, because the same letters. It means something that is sliced or tearing apart. It has a connotation of tending to divide. For example, to divide things. So that is the type of bird. The other bird is called Rachama. And that bird actually comes from the Hebrew word Rechem. Because we talk of Hashem as the one that is Rachamim, Ab Rachamim. He is but this bird does actually use it, Rachem, for its own one. So it doesn't share the Rachamim with other creatures. And there is another bird called Chasidah, which is the feminine part of the word Chasid. It means to be righteous, to be pious. This bird does not actually share in Chasidah or Chasidut with other. It's actually the righteousness of that bird is for themselves. Or the goodness that is in that bird is for themselves. And you have got other birds here, very interesting names, when you look at them in the Hebrew.
What about the bird Ra'ah? It's the same as Re'eh.
Yes.
Correct. So this is exactly what I'm saying. So he has seen it.
Okay.
So you realize that, and this bird is actually the same. So you realize that the Hebrew is hinting at something here.
Yes, but they're the characteristics of the bird.
Correct.
Why are we not unable to eat these characteristics of birds?
Well,
This is the spiritual lesson. What is
correct.
the spiritual lesson? Okay.
There is. So we are saying that
Because time is very short, as you know.
Yes, just because we don't understand why we are told to, like for example, Hashem say, don't eat this, don't eat that. People come and say, well, it's because you eat that, you will sick, you get sick, and you go to the hospital. No, the Torah doesn't even say that.
Yeah, but then we've got a man comes along and says, you eat my flesh and you drink my blood.
True.
Now, I can't do that. And then 5,000 went away and he looked at the 11. Are you going to leave too?
Well,
So,
yes,
so these
true.
birds are the
Yeshua
characteristics.
Says, Yeshua says, if you don't drink my blood and if you don't drink my blood and eat my flesh, you have no life in you. What does that mean? It's the same thing
It's
as
the same
he
thing.
who does not confess that Yeshua, that Mashiach has come in the flesh, does not have.
But that's not literal. He's not saying to literally eat.
Amen.
No.
We know that.
Correct.
I'm only,
Just to
Correct.
I'm only asking our teacher.
No, I'm just sharing.
I know, brother. I know. I'm just teasing you.
Okay. So, finally, let me just, conclude here with a message about after the Torah had actually told us what birds to eat or what animals to eat, birds of the air, the fish, suddenly it actually went into the text in chapter 15. Now take care of your own. Did you notice that? There is a flow here. There's a spiritual message. So the Torah tells us these are the animals you should eat. These birds don't eat. This insect you eat. This one don't eat. But then suddenly, as soon as that is finished, it actually went in there permission of loans and how to actually treat one another. So there is a flow. There's a spiritual message there. So, it says here in verse 7, remember before, the message that I shared with you before, if we don't love one another, what hope have we got? In chapter 14, verse 7, if there shall be a destitute person among you, and any of your brethren in any of your cities in your land that Adonai your Elohim gives you, you shall not harden your heart or close your hand against your destitute brother. Have you ever heard of an evil eye? If your eye is evil, then that's what does it mean to have an evil eye? How do we understand that?
Stingy.
It's being stingy. But it doesn't mean that the person, if they look at your child, they are going to curse your child or bring, that kind of thing. It just means that the person is really very stingy. They don't give. They don't give.
The same as the word soulless.
So the lesson, why am I talking about this? Because there is a spiritual lesson in the birds,
Yes.
in the insect, in the land animals. The characteristics show us how to treat one another.
Yeah.
The nature of these animals teach us a spiritual lesson on how to behave towards one another.
Mm.
The bird called Rachama does not have, the Rachamim that it has is for itself. It doesn't have the ability to share their love with another bird. Only for its kind. Let me know. To its kind. And then it says here that we are supposed to look after our brother who is destitute. Rather, you shall open your hand in verse 8, 14 verse 8. 15, 8, thank you. Rather, you shall open your hand to him. You shall lend hard, saying, the 7th year approaches, the remission year, and you will look malevolently upon your destitute brother and refuse to give him, that he may appeal against you to Hashem, and it will be a sin upon you. Now, today in the world, there are people who are needy. So you have people can come and say, well, they are in need of money or they are in need of something, but they are not truly in need. So how do you really know who is really in need? And how do you know who to help? Well, if they, according to this text, it says that the person who is genuinely poor and doesn't have anything to give will always come to Hashem and pray to Hashem and asking him
But does it matter? In our faith, does it matter if a person is in need or not in need?
No, I'm not saying, because the reason why I'm trying to explain it is because some people may say, you don't need to help people, because I'm saying, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But the mitzvot is to give, right?
Yes,
So
correct.
if we give, who benefits? The giver or the receiver?
The giver.
Oh, there you go.
The giver.
Oh, there
The
you
giver
go.
is the one that actually benefits. Because remember the concept of tzedakah, there's no English equivalent to it. You cannot translate in English. Tzedakah, Sadiq, Kuf, Dalet, Pei, has no word in English. The word charity, charity, no, is not the proper word, because charity means you have got the privilege to give, but it is not a must. Tzedakah is compulsory. Akadosh Baruch Hu actually demands it.
Yes.
So, because to be poor, it humiliates people. Can you just imagine being poor and then you are begging in the street of Randalmo, sitting there? Do you know how humiliating it is to beg? It is very humiliating. But the Father is teaching us a lesson here that we must always understand that everything is Gilgul. So in the future, you may have money today. You may think that you have got the money today. Tomorrow it will be you, and the scales will tip the other way. So the Torah wants us that don't be arrogant, don't be proud, don't look at whatever money you got, don't look at your bank account, how fat it is, or how many things you have got. Don't look at that. Look at the source of your life. So you realize that within most Jewish communities you don't find poor people. Why? Because of the level of giving. Everybody there would have to run and give a loan and say, oh, take this $20,000, you give it to me back in 20 years, sometimes as a way of really not humiliating the person. And then when 20 years comes, the person doesn't come for their money. So you have saved your brother the sorrow of being really humiliated. You are not actually giving him the money by saying, oh, you take it, then I'll give you, you are poor. You just say, take this money as a loan, but after 20 years I'll come back to you, but you don't come back. So the person has had the money. Some people will actually see a poor family, and they go with money, put in the envelope, slip it under their right to so and so. They put it there. They come, pick it up. I've got money for my children. But they don't show up. They don't tell the person that they are doing. Because if you are caught in the act, then that's not tzedakah. So Yeshua gives a parable about...
Your right hand knows.
Correct. So why does it talk like that?
Do you want to see that? Do you want to see that? Brother, can you write the word tithing up? Tithing. It's Ayin Shin Resh. We should know this.
I know.
Okay, now you explain to our sister why. Why the right hand and the left hand should not know. He was teaching Hebrew at the same time, Yeshua. Asha, that means tithing. Tithing, yes, the word tithes. Asha. Now the dot on the left hand side, on the top of the shin is the top on the left hand side. It means
it's a sin. It's a the
no
letter,
tithing. It means tithing. And now and now you put the dot on the other side of the hand. It means rich. So when you tithe, you become rich. There you go. The left hand, the right hand. Now you can explain that to the church, someone in the church, to explain why your left hand don't know. Okay.
So that's Yeshua. That's Ben. Sometimes the Hebrew is an amazing language.
Yeah.
I have not seen a language that is so wonderful like that. It is real. You could actually teach it to a child and they would be able to understand it. Many languages you can't teach them properly because they are confusing. Hebrew is a very simple language. So you saw that Yeshua is teaching us a lesson, as Ben has explained. Yeshua is teaching the Torah here. So there's a movement. Because remember, on top of what Ben has said, the letter Shin actually are 3 yuds or vavim combined, and usually, if it is written properly, they all face the same direction. None of them is actually facing, they are not looking at their friends. So the whole act of giving is actually depicted there in the letter. And the movement of the dot also, as Ben has said, is also shown there. And also the fact that there are 3 hits also means the Beidin also, the witnessing as well. So you have got 3 hits, and if these two sides are arguing, the person in the middle can come and neutralize things. So the giver, the giver who is, of course, could be me or you or another, and the one that is actually the Dalet, the poor person, plus Adonai is there. So you have got actually the 3 witnesses there in the letter Shin. So that is the reason why in the Siddur, you find that in the prayers, I better find it because this one has come up. And we have asked a question before about prayers, I just hope that Hashem willing, we will be able to, we could actually teach this as well. I have to find this and actually show you in the place where actually they... Now there is a place in the prayers where actually when you come to that, a person that keeps the Torah literally set aside something that they want to give to another person when they come to this word. When they actually read this word, they set aside something for a poor brother or a sister. Yes. And they actually literally do that in their home.
Yes.
Because of that word. Because they understand what it is. And we also must understand that. So anyway, to conclude what I was saying before at the beginning of the parasha, it says here, that I put before you a blessing and a curse. Now, remember the Torah is a life, everlasting life. We need to choose. We need to choose Hashem for a blessing. The Kelalah is a curse, and it is also Kuf Lamed Lamed means a curse, but that curse also, according to at a deeper level, you can substitute the Kuf and put a hay there, and it becomes the word Halel. So depending on how you look at evil, evil can be used for good. You can actually turn evil to be used for the service of Hashem. How is that possible? Let's look at the world today, for example. If someone, let's say someone attack you, or they hate you for some reason, they don't like you for some reason, and then you be patient and actually wait for Hashem to do whatever He's doing in your life. It might turn out that the soul that doesn't love you will turn around and be not actually brought to the faith.
Where is that scripture where it says they meant it for evil, but He used it for good?
It's Yosef who said that when he was sold. When he was sold. So you see, it depends on perception. Re'eh anochi lifneichem bracha ukelela. I put, it is a perception. So depending on who is actually, for example, let me ask you a question. Who do you think would be able to curse you to the point that you cannot really function anymore? Is that a human being or Hashem? So why do we fear the curses of people? No one can curse you. You know? It's only Hashem who can curse, and He will only do that if the people are devoid of understanding. So I'll stop there. I know.
Sister Hannah, remember to remind him of what he just said, okay? All right, amen. Nothing brother.
Yeah. So unless you have got anything to, is there any question that you would like us to address? You got a question, Susie? Yeah, otherwise I'll stop there, but I hope that
More after lunch.
yeah, we can actually brush on this.